Okay, so in the last recording, I left off talking about the setting of Amsterdam, how Rook goes there to rescue Hula, which resembles this sort of modern day hell. And as far as the setting for India, a lot of you might know that the Beatles went there in the 60s to Rishikesh to study with the Maharishi. And they also wrote a lot of the songs for the White Album there. And so I thought it might be good for Rook to sort of emulate that journey in a way. Now, he goes there mostly to find his daughter Boudicca, but also maybe subconsciously to search for the answers to life's questions. And so starting the book, I wanted to set the tone, and I thought this intersection with Don Quixote might be an appropriate choice. This is where Don Quixote is longing to leave the castle, wanting to go out there and actually do something worthwhile. And likewise, Rook needs to leave his mansion in Beverly Hills and actually go out there and make a difference. And so this is the opening epigraph. And then the opening page, I'm going to read it through once transparently, and then we're going to go into a little detail and do a close reading. So this is chapter 1, A Hollywood Homecoming. What are you waiting for? Ted Southampton asked Rook Heisenberg. Rook, staring at nothing in particular, took a towel from an eager female fan and wiped the sweat from his ruddy face, half expecting to see his image transferred there. The perfect moment, said Rook, and as if he were performing a magic trick, handed the damp cloth back to the young lady. Yoicks, she gasped, clutching the calico to her chest and jumping up and down. I can't believe it. Rook, with the detachment of a plastic surgeon, observed her bosom bouncing within her skimpy I'm a rock star t-shirt. Well, believe this, young lady, we're very busy here, barked Southampton. We don't need your help. Then, turning to Rook, he lowered his periwinkle glasses and said in earnest, You've got to go out again. Don't keep him waiting much longer. Abracadabra, replied Rook, chuckling at his manager's tornado of a personality and corresponding hairstyle. Rook listened to the chants from the crowd at the Hollywood Bowl. What am I doing here? What on earth am I doing here? He continued to peer numbly into some vague memory, some blunted purpose. And so this is the opening page. And you could read it transparently if you wanted to. Just read it straightforwardly without going back. Or you could take the time to delve a little deeper and perhaps find some of the other layers of meaning that I intended. And so let's go through this briefly here, and hopefully this will help you better appreciate the book and see what you might do as you read through the rest of the novel. And so I know most authors don't give much significance to chapter numbers, but I thought, why not? So chapter 1, this is symbolic as we start to enter Rook's secretive world. 1 is the first number in a Fibonacci sequence of his gate code to his castle. I mentioned this a little bit more on page 11. And so as the reader enters chapter 1, they're sort of pressing this code. They're entering Rook's world. A, the first letter, obviously, of the alphabet, the beginning of communication, the alpha. The book starts with A, it ends with O as in omega, the end. And A is also linked to Hawthorne's The Scarlet Letter. Hollywood, it denotes or connotes everything good and bad about the town. This show is about to begin. We're in a place of illusions, appearances, and as far as homecoming, what does it say about somebody who considers a place like Hollywood home? The opening sentence, what are you waiting for? Well, the hero's waiting to be born on the page, waiting to take the stage, metaphorically waiting to fulfill his role in this Leela, this term from Hinduism meaning God's play, and also waiting for the universe to be born. Ted, the name of the agent, it's Old Norse for spreader of dung. I thought that to be a pretty appropriate name for this sort of slimy agent. And then his last name, Southampton, is connected to the port from which the Titanic embarked from. So Southampton is a sinking ship of sorts. Rook, his name, well, all definitions can apply with varied emphasis. It could be, for instance, the gregarious public performer and the reclusive rock star has sort of moted himself away. Could be a chess piece in the game of life, now finally put into play. There's also, as I've talked about before, this connection to Orpheus. Orpheus is often linked to an eagle or a vulture, and Rook 2 is linked to a bird, sort of a crow-like bird, a much lesser bird than Orpheus. And similar to Orpheus, he's born of the muse, so to speak, which I talk about in the preface. And as I've already mentioned, he goes through a hell of a different sort. And there's other connections throughout the book. Heisenberg. So what's with this last name? Well, allusions to quantum mechanics. The one I was most interested in is Schrodinger's cat, right? The famous thought experiment where the cat is both alive and dead in a state of superposition until the observer looks into that box. Or it could be the many worlds approach to that experiment, where there are many worlds with many possibilities. And so likewise, I wanted almost anything to be able to happen in this book. All the possibilities are there until the reader actually opens the book and the action starts. Ideally, I would like to create different versions, and I suppose you could these days create sort of like a hypertext version of that, but maybe I'll do that in the future. Nothing. So again, the state before anything happened, the universe is beginning. Where the fan is wiping Rook's face. This is an allusion to Saint Veronica wiping the face of Christ, and also how Rook is very much of full of megalomania here and sacrilegious. He's under a delusion, obviously, a lot of delusions, but as he's sort of trying to control the crowd, he feels as if he is a god. He can start the concert or resume the concert, but what kind of universe is he creating here or starting here? Again, talking about the magic trick, a reference to his fascination with conjuring, with power over others. Yoiks is a term used in fox hunting, but here is Rook the fox, or is he the hunted, or is he the hunter, or is it the other way around? What's going on here with this term? And that would be open to interpretation. The way Rook treats the fan is sort of evidence of his deeply sexist and jaded attitude at this point, which will later come back to haunt him. And then the I'm a Rockstar t-shirt, this is obviously from popular culture, but also could be construed as linking to the theory about stardust forming life. And then his use of the Aramaic form of abracadabra, which means I will create as I speak. This was also sometimes worn as an amulet, and this comes back later in the book in various ways. And so here he's at this high point of chasing the rainbow, so to speak, upon this rainbow stage. How can he get any higher? But then at the same time, why does he feel so low here at the Hollywood Bowl? And then this question, what am I doing here? What on earth am I doing here? Well, isn't this the ultimate philosophical question? And then he goes on to quote this line from Hamlet, right? This allusion to the scene where Hamlet's father's ghost appears to remind Hamlet of his duty to revenge his murder and to help his mom. But here, notice that Rook's purpose is not almost blunted as Hamlet's is, but blunted, very seriously blunted. And so here we have the intersection of Hamlet with the opening epigraph from Don Quixote and actually throughout the work. And this is intentional on my part, inspired by Turgenev's famous essay on the subject, comparing the two basic types of people, the idealist, ready to give his all for what he believes in, persevering even if he looks like a total fool, such as Don Quixote, and the other, this overthinking, skeptical, egoistic, procrastinating prince whose melancholia overwhelms him and prohibits him from doing what he really should do. Also in this scene, we have proof that Shakespeare really did intend Hamlet's delay to be intentional, as the ghost comes to chide his son to act. The problem with Rook is very much postmodern, though. He doesn't know what his purpose is, or even if he has one. And so what will happen? Will Rook rescue his sweetheart and daughter? Will they find happiness and meaning as a family? Or like Orpheus, will he meet with a tragic ending only to be immortalized in the stars with his guitar? Connect the dots and find out. I hope this was helpful. And if you have any other questions, just let me know. Thanks. Bye-bye.